very tricky. So you have to apply the brain. You have not to stuck up to the same passage if it comprises only 2 questions. Then don't stuck up for the passage. Okay, 2 questions you can leave. You can try to attend other questions. So thing is, practice the passages. For that also, one book is the Reading Comprehension by Arihant that I have updated in IAS Dream. That is very important book. If you study that and practice, daily practice 2 passages, only 2 daily. I'm telling you, within 2 months or within a month, you will be at much higher edge. This thing. Second thing is your aptitude reasoning. Try to learn the concepts involved. Try to learn the concepts involved and try to analyze the concepts involved in reasoning and aptitude maths part. This is very easy. This is not at all tough. If you practice questions, this is very easy. So CSAT, try to do focus on your practice only. Practice should cover around 60%. Now, another very important part in CSAT, which I interacted with many of the students, I got to know time factor. Time factor is going to play a very, very vital role. Now, what does the time factor mean? Time factor means you must be able to solve the entire paper within 1 hour 45 minutes. You don't have enough time. You have to solve each and question with very accuracy, very fast. It means you have not to devote your much more time on one question or much less time on the other question. It means you should be very time specific, and that time specificity will only come when you have solved a lot of questions, and a lot of questions will need your practice. This is the thing I want to say on the terms of CSAT. If you get around 150, 160, more than 160 in CSAT and good in GS score, no one can stop your selection in prelims, for sure. So try to be confident in prelims. Take help from the pillar of CSAT. Some people are asking for mains book and all. So let me come on to the mains topic first. I'm dealing with prelims. Please tell the resource. One student has asked, please tell the resources in detail too would help studying less and revising that much material more. See, resources, whatever you are having, if you have done a coaching or you have a self material, it is okay. It doesn't matter. Thing is, whatever matter you have, try to revise that matter 10 times for sure. If you have a book, try to note down the important points of the book and revise it 10 times. Think, okay. So always have a strategy, revise more. Now comes the process of prelims. So CSAT, you have to aim more than 160, and prelims for GS, you have to score more than 100. 90 also will work because GS is really tough, I'm saying you. So this thing's meant, and I bet also you can call any top rankers here and any normal student, even you also, we all are at the same level of GS. No one is much high and no one is much low. The difference comes only when we'll apply for mains. So don't worry for GS. GS, everyone is compatible on the same level. The difference will be brought by this pattern of CSAT. CSAT is going to bring the difference. But so I'm telling you, try to practice a lot of questions, try to practice a lot of questions, and then try to get this accuracy factor, speed factor. Speed factor will matter most. So this was all about your prelims. If you clear prelims, you will get a chance to attempt for mains. Now mains. Mains is the most important part. Now, study plan and all, I'll deal. Some people are asking what is the study plan, what should be the study plan. That I'll deal after my mains strategy. First of all, now comes the mains. Mains of this exam, you should know, UPSC IAS exam is second toughest exam in the world, toughest exam in India. And mains I'm going to talk about. Mains is all about the high creativity thinking. Your mains is very tough, very tough. Cutoff is 564. Some might be thinking also it's very less also. But to be very frank, if you follow defined strategy, definitely it is used. So first of all, I want to go to what to study and what not to study. What to study and what not to study. First comes the thing of newspaper in our mind. Newspaper. Basically, newspaper, I'm telling you, newspaper is the most boring part, to be very honest. It's not like that everyone enjoys it. Very few people enjoy reading newspaper. Newspaper, I think the Hindu is the best. So try to cover up only one newspaper. I think one is sufficient. Hindu is very much sufficient. The most important part of reading the newspaper is to write down the most important facts which is mentioned, especially on the editorial page. The editorial page comprises a lot of articles, their analysis, their pros and cons, and views. Try to write down in your own words. Don't be lazy. Just, yeah, I read it and then I will cut a clipping and then I'll do then I'll do. It's not like that. You have to write down the entire stuff in your other sheet of paper. Okay, this is for your editorial section. There comes a letter to the editor. There people give a lot of views. That those views are very, very important. If you jot down those views and make it your views. So newspaper reading should comprise of first part should be first thing newspaper should have. Try to write down the important points, what is mentioned. Don't try to read much news. Like sports news, I don't think it will, I think it's a wastage of time. It's basically people, boys enjoy it or girls, whatever. So this thing is, try to read the newspaper, especially editorial section, and very national news, which may be of some very global significance or national significance. That is important. Just try to have spent maximum 1 hour on newspaper, 1 hour to 1 hour 15 minutes, and try to write down. Make a habit of writing. I'm telling you, I have seen my friends who didn't write and they didn't get selected. So try to write down. So newspaper. Next come a very important part called magazines. Magazines is basically we are always confused. We should study this, that, and all. A lot of your shops are there, and a lot of magazines are there. I'm telling you, only one magazine is sufficient, and that's the Pulita Darpan. It's very easy also. I'm telling you, go for an easy way, you will get success. While you're trying to study tough magazines and then entangled into the tough words and all, study one magazine. And I'm telling you, like you can call any of the top rankers also. None of the single student might have studied the entire magazine of a month, not even a single one. Because what is required is we should read the headlines of the magazine, and if we find any important article, try to read that article. So Hindu is good and Pratyogita Darpan. Now, one magazine I'm telling you, I'm suggesting for myself, this will really enrich you and enrich your answer writing. That's Yojana. Yojana is a very good magazine, very cheap magazine, and a very small magazine, very light magazine. So it's going to help you out in your answer writing. I'll deal when it comes on the science and tech because Yojana is mainly for paper 2 and paper 3. So this is about you what to study and now what not to study. Don't try to study those big economic news, both big this sports news or some irrelevant news of local issues and all. That's actually a waste of time. And second thing, don't, because economics news you will get, if there is something good in analysis point, you will get in that article. So don't need to go into economics news, because sometimes what happens, the terms are very tough. So that will, how is Yojana useful in answer writing? Some people have asked that I'll deal when I'll come on paper 3. So next part is magazines. Magazines I told you, and the editorial section, and what not to study. See, there is a lot of material, plenty of material. Try to think that, try to go through the 5-6 years back papers. You will know which is important, which is not important, what to study, what not to study. So try to be very apt in that approach. Okay. So thing is, what matter is some issues of local significance, national significance, international significance. That is important, but not of some irrelevant issue that this is happening, this crime has occurred, this, that. This is not that of that significance. Okay, so this is about your newspaper and magazine. Apart from PD and your Yojana, I don't think if you're studying other magazines also, it's well and good, but one magazine is enough. Don't waste your time in magazines, and don't waste your time in some economic times and Times of India and all. Hindu is good for IAS. After that, you don't study after clearing the exam. Now comes for mains. What is the utmost requirement? We'll start with the mains is divided into 1750 marks. First, I'll come on the paper 1. Paper 1 is of history, geography, all those things. Paper 1, history, geography. History you might have studied for prelims. You know the facts. In mains, what all matters is your answer writing skill. Now I'm coming to the main topic, answer writing skill. Answer writing skill is the most important part for this exam. I challenge you, if you know a hell lot of facts, if you're very good in writing, if you are very well acquainted with the facts, figures and all, and if you're not knowing the way to write, I challenge you can't clear the exam, because this exam is all about answer writing skill. If you have to score under top 10, top 50, answer writing must be there. So I'll come on answer writing strategy. First part is, when I interacted with some of the DU professors, they said me, they were the earlier evaluators of UPSC 90s, and they said the marking pattern of that time was 1/3 of the total marks should be given for the content. 1/3 for the content, 1/3 for the suggestion, and 1/3 for the conclusion. Suggestion plus contemporary relevance. This is the marks relevance. Now you might be reading some answers in like on net and all. You might be seeing very good content, but that content only matters 1/3 or even less than that. Out of 10, if you have a very good content, you have enriched your answers with good articles, this, that, and all. You are going to get just 1 mark or 1.5 out of 10, not more than that. Other 1/3 is for your suggestion and contemporary issues. You have to substantiate your answer with this suggestion. Suggestion part is very important because you are going to be an IAS officer, and if you don't have your viewpoint, it's very difficult. You can put you should be selected actually, because if you don't have viewpoint, it's very difficult to comprehend the issues. And you should also try to give some things which is related to contemporary significance, means what is happening today. And last 1/3 marks is for conclusion. Conclusion is very important. Why? Conclusion will really help you to formulate your answer according to the needs of the what is asked. Actually, you are going to be a government officer, so you have to abide by the law and order, Indian constitution, all those things. So you have to mention those things in your conclusion. I will deal some of the specific questions, how to start, how to end, and how to be having the specified content. So don't worry if you have studied very less also, it doesn't matter much, but what matters is how you're going to write the answers. So I'll come on paper one first. For paper one for GH was history, geography, all those things. If you see history you can't give any suggestions. But history marks you will get. Some people have asked that many times this suggestions are not asked. Then what should we do? Suggestions are not asked. Then also you have to give suggestions. They are never going to ask you give your suggestions. Never. They are not going to ask you any question. There will be like specified give suggestions. Nothing like that. You have to give your suggestions. What should be done, and that suggestion should be very constructive, very balanced, very optimistic. Okay. So first comes the history. History answers must be based on the content. Obviously, history is based on content. So content will matter the most. But here also, like I'll give you an example of question is examine the demand of moderates. Question is this: examine the demand of moderates. How you are going to approach? There will be many students who might write 10 demands of moderates, and they are going to write all the 10 demands. But I bet a person who has written 10 demands of moderates, just 10 demands, that he will get 1 mark out of 10, because they're not going to ask. They haven't asked you mugging up and answering what are the demands. They want you to examine and analyze actually. So a person who knows only 4 demands also will be equally placed with the person who knows 10 demands. But now where the difference will come? Difference you have to create in your answer writing. In history answers, specifically for every point you have to write significance. What is the significance of the demand of the moderates? How did this demand of moderates help in India's struggle for independence? How did this demand of moderates help in unity of India? How did this demand of moderates help in the freedom struggle movement? You have to specify all that. And if you write only 3 to 4 demands, but if you mention all the significance, which is not asked, but if you have to write this, I bet sure 4 to 5 marks you will get out of 10, not more than that. 4 to 5 is enough, I think, to succeed. So you can see the difference you are creating. Differences in your answer writing. So try to remember in history answers, try to give maximum content on significance and conclusions. It is the conclusion part of history subject is only significance, because conclusion about what we write, that how did it help in India's struggle and whatever now we are just because of this moderates. Now I'll give one example from the paper which came, which said the first question it came, you might be knowing, though not very useful from the point of view of a connected political history of South India, the Sangam literature portrays the social and economic condition of its time with remarkable vividness. This was the question, first question.